SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2021, Paper 1, Non-Calc. So first question was on foreign exchange, Paper 1, Question 1, and we had to work out the average of this person's earnings, but also, that's the mean, but also change it to pounds. So to work out the mean, you add them up and divide by how many there are, which is 4. To change it back to pounds, you divide by the exchange rate, which is 5 real to the pound. So let's go ahead and add these numbers up. So we can just add in an extra box at the bottom and we can add these numbers up. So we've got 6 plus 4 is 10, carry 1. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 again, carry 1. We've got 6, 7, 17, 18, carry 1. We've got 10, 15, 16, carry 1. And we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. So we get 136,800. If we add them up, we need to divide that by 4. So 4 goes into 13 3 times with 1 left over. 4 4s is 16, 4 2s is 8. So we get 34,200. You get a mark for that. But then you need to remember to divide that by 5 because we need to change it back to pounds. So 34,200 divided by 5. 5 6s is 30, carry 4. 5 8s is 40, carry 2. 5 4s is 20, 5 nothings is nothing. So our final answer is £6,840 for our second mark. Scatter graphs, SQA National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 2. Elephants continue to grow for the duration of their lives. The table shows the sample of elephants and their shoulder heights. On the grid, draw a scatter graph. So a scatter graph's just plot the points, go along the X, up the Y, be very careful. So let's just do that in bits. So the first one is 12, 1. Let's look at our scale first, actually. So it goes up in ones on the side. I can see that by counting the boxes, but up the side, it goes up in tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, up to 100. So I need to be very careful when I'm plotting this. So the first one is 12 to 30. So I'll go to 12, up to 200, and then 10, 20, 30. So I'm going to plot this on now. I'm on 10, 11, 12, 10, 20, 30. There's my first dot. The next one is 17 to 50. So 17, 2 after 15, straight up. I'm at 200 and then up to 250. It's in the middle of 200 and 300. I quite double check before I mark it, and I'm fine with that. 28 to 70. So 25, 26, 27, 28. Straight on that line, up to 250, 260, 270. That'll be there. So that's 28. And 270, 35 and 275. So 35 is nice, straight along. 35, 200, 250, 260, 270, 275 would be right in the middle, so about there. And then the last one, 43 and 300. So 43 all the way up to 300. So 41, 2, 3, and I'm on the 300 line, so there we are there. And then we get a nice scatter graph. Draw a line of best fit. So we need a ruler for that. Line of best fit is when you put it, so it lines up as many points as you can, or at least that kind of equidistant, straight distance away. Best you can, that will probably do. And then just neatly drawing your line in. And there's quite a bit of leeway with a line of best fit, so don't worry if you're a little bit off. The last bit says use your line to estimate the age of an African elephant is 260. So I'm going to zoom in again to see where 260 is. There's 260 there. So if I can get a ruler or just draw a straight line, I'm just going to draw it without a ruler so you can see it because it tabs it. You use a ruler to get that line, and then you just go along to the line and straight down to where it meets the other axis. So in this case, I can just go straight down there. And I'm sitting about 21, but you might be plus or minus a few depending on how your line of best fit is drawn. But I'm going to write 21 for my line. And I'm done there. Okay, SQA National 5 Apps 2021 Paper 1 Question 3. Tolerance. A polling company predicted the result of an election. They claimed that the prediction would be within plus or minus 3% of the result. Determine if the company's claim is correct. Okay, so tolerance always work at my maximum min, okay? So the result was 3,300. So my max is going to be plus 3%. So I'm going to do 3% of 3,300. So let's do 1% first, divided by 100, that's 33. So 3% is equal to 3 times 33, which is 99. So our max value is 3,399. Now you don't have to do your min for this one because you can already see 3,399. That's below their prediction of 3,400, so you're done there. But if you're doing your min, you would take away 3% as well. But we don't need it for this one, so we can just say, since 3,399 is less than 3,400, claim is incorrect. Now you might be able to say, well, it's only one off, but one off is still one off, so it's still incorrect. National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 4, reading scales. Laura has to inflate her lorry tyres to a pressure of 84 psi. Mark this pressure on the gauge shown. Okay, so let's look at our scale here. We can see that PSI is on the outside scale and bar is on the inside scale. So we're identifying what scale we're using. We're using the outside scale and we want to go to 84. Now, with these, you need to work out what are these divisions worth. So let's have a look. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 30. So at the side, I can do 30 divided by 5 to realise that each division is worth 6. So we're now on 60, 66, 72, 78, 84. So I now know that 84 is here, going up in 60s. So I can just mark that on there and we're done. SQA National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 5, pay and overtime. Part 1, A is Lucy works the lifeguard, her overtime rate's time and a half. During 1 week, Lucy worked 40 hours at normal rate and 10 hours at overtime rate. She's paid $5.50. Calculate her normal hourly rate of pay. So her normal hourly rate of pay, I need to work out basically what would she have got if she'd worked normal hours? Well, she's worked 10 hours at time and a half. So 10 times 1.5 or 3 over 2 is 15 hours. So our total hours is equal to 40 plus 15, which is 55. So she got paid £550 for essentially 55 hours. So you do 550 divided by 55, which is exactly 10. So £10 an hour. And there we are. Alan is also a lifeguard. His normal hours are 40 hours per week. Over the course of 5 weeks, he worked an additional 16 hours overtime. Express his overtime hours as a percentage of his normal hours. Expressing it as a percentage is the same as expressing as a fraction and then change that to a percentage. So he's worked 16 extra hours over 5 weeks, not 16 a week, just 16 over 5 weeks. And don't be tempted to write 40 on the bottom here. He didn't work 40 hours, he worked 40 hours for 5 weeks. So 40 times 5. So that's 200 hours. Now to change that to a percent, well, I know percent's out of 100, so I can divide by 2 to get 8 out of 100, which is 8%, and we're done there. Box and interquartile range, SQA National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 6. Mr. Kenneth asked his class how much money they spent on their lunch, the results are shown in the box plot. Calculate the interquartile range. So the interquartile range, remember, is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. On a box plot, if I zoom this in, it's the end of the boxes. So if I work out these numbers, I'll be good to go. I've already got 1, that's just 2. And this other one I'll need to work out. So again, divisions, it's going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going up in 0.2s. So 3.2, 4, 6, 8. In the middle makes 9. So I've got 3.9 for my other end. So my interquartile range, I can just do 3.9 minus 2, which equals to 1.9. But remember, we are in money, so I'm going to put 1.90 or £1.90. The money spent on lunch by Mrs. Campbell's class had an interquartile range of £1.82. Make one valid comment comparing the money spent on lunch by Mr. Kenneth's and Mrs. Campbell's class. So when you compare an interquartile range, you're comparing how spread out or how variable things are. So we look at the numbers. This one's higher than that one. So we can say that the money spent on lunch by Mr. Kenneth's class is more varied than Mrs. Campbell's class. The money spent on lunch, so being in context, by Mr. Kenneth's class is more varied because the number's bigger than Mrs. Campbell's class. I would always write why. So since £1.90 is greater than £1.82. Don't really technically need that statement, but just to be on the safe side. SQA National 5 Apps 2021 Paper 1 Question 7, converting fractions to decimals. Convert 3 sevens to a decimal fraction, give you an answer to 3 decimal places. 3 divided by 7 is what we need to do if you're going to convert a fraction to a decimal. So setting that up, I've got 3 to be divided by 7. I know I'm going to need some decimals, so I put a point and just put a bunch of zeros. I've put 4. Why 4? Because I'm rounding to 3, so I need an extra 1. 7 does not go into 3, so I carry my 3. 7 4s are 28. 29, 30, carry 2. 7 2s are 14. An extra 6 makes 20, so carry 6. 7 8s are 56, so carry 4. 7 5s are 35. And then it's going to keep going, but I'm going to do 4 because I'm going to go down to 3. So then our final answer to 3 decimal places is 0.429 because 5 says round it up to 9. And again, take your time on this. Write out your 7 times table if you're going to get stuck. Bar charts and ratio. SQA National 5 Apps 2021 Paper 1 Question 8. The bar chart below shows the medals won by 4 countries in the 2016 Olympic Games. So we've got gold, silver, bronze shown on the bars by these different shadings, I suppose. And part A says calculate the number of medals won by the UK in the 2016 Games. So the number of gold medals, sorry. So 2016 Games for UK is here. I need the gold. So we're starting at 40. We need to know what it's going up in. So as we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions. So it's going up in 2s. So 1, 6, 40, that's 10, 20, 22, 24, 26. In the middle makes 27. So we can just write 27 for our answer to that one. Part B says calculate the ratio of gold to silver to bronze medals for France. So we need to know France's gold, silver, bronze. So let's do our gold first for France. We've got 30, 32 on, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 for the first number. So I'll just note these as I go. We've got 10, 2, the silver, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 18. And the last one, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So initially we get 10 to 18 to 14. So then we need to simplify that. So we need to find a number that goes into all 3 of them. I can see they're all even, so I'll just half them. So that gives me 5, 9, and 7. And there, I can't simplify that anymore, so I'm done there. SQA National 5 Apps 2021 Paper 1 Question 9, calculations with time. Gillian flew from Aberdeen to Caracas via Paris. She got on the aircraft at 06:05. Well, let's take a note of that one then. And she was off the aircraft in Paris 1 hour 15 minutes. She got off the aircraft in Caracas at 3:30. Paris is 1 hour ahead. Caracas is 5 hours behind Paris. Calculate the total time she was on the aircraft. 15:30. But we're going to have to add in some time differences. So if we want to convert her time to Paris time, we need to add on those 5 hours. So I'll add 5 hours. But then if I want to go back to when she left, instead of having to mess about with her Aberdeen time, I can take away 1 hour for the Aberdeen being, Paris being behind Aberdeen. So add 5 hours, but take away 1 hour. In other words, add 4 hours. So I've turned this into Aberdeen time. And this is Aberdeen time, so I'm dealing with the same thing. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I get 19:30 as my finishing time. And my starting time was 06:05. Now, we can work out the difference between those two. So we're at 06:05, we want to get to 19:30. So what's the easiest way to do this? Well, if I add 55 minutes, I get to 0700. I then need to add how many hours it is to 19. So 19 take away 7 in other words, which is 12 hours. But then you've got the 30 minutes. So adding them together, in total, we have 12 hours 30 minutes, 13 hours 25 minutes. But we've got some extra information in the question, which says she got off the aircraft in Paris for 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I need to take away that 1 hour 15 minutes, see how long she's on the aircrafts. So minus 1 hour and 15 minutes gives us a grand total of 12 hours and 10 minutes. And we're done there. Precedence tables. SQA National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 10. Sarah wants to make chili con carne. The table shows the list of tasks and the time taken for Sarah to complete them. So there's our tasks, and then it says, Part A, complete the diagram below to show the tasks and the time in the boxes. It always says gives an additional diagram, which is on page 18, and the reason for that is sometimes you can do this by trial and error. Mess up the first diagram, do it again on the second one. To the first task, it says nothing before it. So that's A, that goes in the first box, and it takes 3 minutes. So there's A and 3, it's already been done for me, and then we check what comes after A. So preceding task is what we're looking for. A, that is B, and B takes 5 minutes. So I can note B and 5 as the next box. And then what comes after B? Well, before preceding task is B, that's C, and that takes 2 minutes. So we've got C and 2 minutes. Now this is where you get a branch. You need to know, well, where's this going to go? So you can either do it trial and error and just delete as you go, or look at the table. So I'm going to look at the table. I know that the top branch goes 1, 2, then. So if I was doing this question, I would just do it bit by bit and see how I go and just delete as I go. So I'm just going to say fry onions in the pan. D comes after C. So let's try and put D in after C. If I just put D here, that is 6 minutes. And what else comes after C? F. Open the can of kidney beans, and that takes 2 minutes. So after C is F, and that's 2 minutes. And then try and complete a branch. So I'll just do the top one now, D. What comes after D? That's E, and that takes 5 minutes. And after E is J. It's also after I, but you can see it jumps down to the branch, J. So this one will be J, and that is 2 minutes. Now, if you had messed this up and you suddenly run out of your thing, you would just delete and go back to this point and do it again, or do it on the other thing. So now let's just check F's branch. After F is G, which is 1 minute. So I can write G in 1. After G is H, which is 1 minute. So I can write H in 1. After H is J. After H is I, which is 2 minutes. So I can write I and 2 minutes. And then after I, we should get back to J, which it is right. So I'm continue on. So after J, it's K, which is 35 minutes. And it's L, which is 3 minutes. Doesn't matter which way round they go. And then in the end, we've got M for 2 minutes. And we're done there. Sarah claims she can make the chili con carne in 55 minutes. Based on the times given, is she correct? Well, let's check our times in our boxes. So we've got 3 plus 5 plus 2. Now then we've got a branch, and it doesn't join up again till here. So it's the longest time of the branch because we'll have to wait for one of them to finish. So that's 6 and 5 is 11. Or it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have to add the 6 and 5, which is 11, because that's the longest branch. And then we get to J, which is 2. And then we've got K and L happening, but we can't move on until K's finished. So it's going to take 35 minutes, even though L is 2. And then we've got the 2 minutes on the end. So 3 plus 5 plus 2 plus 6 plus 5 plus 2 plus 35 plus 2, 60 minutes. So she's wrong. No, it will take 60 minutes. SQA National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 11, inverse proportion. George is planning to have his fence painted. Last year, 3 painters painted the fence in 8 hours. I'm just going to take a note of that. 3 painters equals 8 hours. There will be 5 painters painting the fence this year. All the painters work at the same rate. So since work has been done, usually if I was wanting to know the cost of the price of one thing, I would divide by 3, say, for 3 painters. But work's been done, so 3 painters takes much less time than 1 painter. So 1 painter actually takes 3 times 8. I need to times. So 1 painter is going to take 3 times 8, 24 hours. And then to get back to 5 painters, well, it's not going to be 5 times 24 because it's going to take less time. It's 24 divided by 5 hours. So what's that going to equal? Well, we're going to do a sum. 5 fours is 20, carry 4, 5 eights is 40, 4.8 hours, which is kind of a useless time to us, right? So we're going to have to change that 0.8 of our hour into actual minutes. So 0.8 hours, to change to minutes, you times by 60. So 6 times 8, that's 48 minutes. So we now know that it takes them 4 hours, 48 minutes. Go back up to the question note, we have a 40-minute break, so plus 40 minutes. That gives us 4 hours 48, 5 hours 28 minutes. I have to work out when they finish. Well, we started at 9:30, so 1:09:30. So adding on 5 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You get 14:30. Then adding the 28 minutes, you get 14:58. And we're done there. Adding fractions, SQA National 5 Application of Maths, 2021, Paper 1, Question 12. The votes in a school for a class representative were split as 2/5 for Sam, 4/9 for Ashley, the remaining for Leslie. Calculate the fraction of votes that were for Leslie. So I need to add the fractions up and then take away from 1. 2/5 plus 4/9. Common denominator is 45, 5 times 9. This one's been times by 9, so that's 18, 2 times 9. And this one's been times by 5, so that's 24 times 5. 20 plus 18 is 38 out of 45. So now I need to know, well, how much is left over to make a whole 1. The easiest way to do that is just do 45 minus 38 to get a whole 45, in other words. That is 7. So the answer is 7 out of 45. Check that it's simplified, and it is, so we're done there. Gradient and percentages, SQA National 5 Apps, 2021, Paper 1, Question 13. John has a slope in his back garden. The slope is the height of 8 planks. Each plank is 22.5 centimetres. There's 960 centimetres away from the bottom of the slope. Calculate the gradient. So the gradient, remember, is the vertical over the horizontal. So for part A, gradient equals vertical over horizontal. So I need to know my vertical, well, it's 22.5, and it says there's 8 of them, so I need to times that by 8. So 8 5s is 40, carry 4, 8 2s is 16 plus 8 2s is 16 plus 4 is 20, 8 2s is 16, 17, 18, so I get 180, so we get 180 over 960. Always simplify your answers. So I can do 18 over 96, divided by 10, divide by 3 then, 3 6s is 18, 3 3s are 9, 3 2s are 6, divide by 2, we get 3 over 16 as our gradient. Part B says his neighbour Helen also has a slope, the gradient of her slope is 20%. She thinks her slope is steeper than John's. Is she correct? We need to compare 20% with 3/16. So there's a number of ways to compare things. If you're comparing fractions, if the numerators are the same, that allows you to look at the denominators, or you can change them both to the same thing, like percentages or decimals. In this case, I'm going to make them all fractions, actually. So 20% is 20 out of 100. That is a fifth. But remember, I'm comparing with 3/16. So if I times this one by 3 on the top and bottom, I'll get 3/15. That's our comparison. Now the top's the same, so all I need to do is look at the bottom. Out of 16 is smaller than out of 15. So 3/16 is less than 3/15, which remember is 20%. So she thinks she's steeper. Is she correct? Yes, she is correct. The other ways you could have done this question is change 3/16 to a decimal and change 20% to a decimal and compare it that way. Okay, proportion. SQA National 5 Application of Maths 2021, Paper 1, Question 14. A 240 gram steak costs £3.84, complete with label shelf to show the price per kilogram. So 240 grams is equal to £3.84. And I want to get up to 1 kilogram eventually. So we know 240 grams is equal to £3.84. And we want to know what 1,000 grams is. So you can either go down to 1 gram, you can always do that each time, or you can do a bit of clever maths to get there. It's up to you. What I'm going to do actually is get as close to a kilo as I can. So if I times both this by 4, that gives me 960 grams. So I'll know the price of 960 grams by timesing this by 4. 4 fours is 16. 4 eights is 32, plus 1 is 33. 4 threes is 12, 13, 14, 15. So that'll take me to £15.36. But I'm short by 40 grams. So I need to know the price of 40 grams. Well, if I do 240 divided by 40 grams, that's knocking the zeros off, gives me 6. 40 goes into 246 times. So that means I can know that 40 grams is also equal to £3.84 divided by 6. Six fives are 36, 6 threes is 36, carry 2, 6 fours is 24. So I now know 40 grams is equal to £0.64. So that means that 1 kilogram just equals £15.36 plus 0.64, which is 0.060 or £16. And we're done there. Pie charts. SQA National 5 apps, 2021 paper 1 question 15. Stuart's monthly budget is £660 for rent and bills, £450 for food and socialising, £90 for savings. Construct a pie chart to show the information. I'm going to have to work out my angles here. To get my angles, I need the fractions. To get the fractions, I'm going to need the total. So step 1, add the numbers up. So underneath, I'm going to do 660 plus the 450 plus the 90. So that gives me 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 9 is 20, 6, 10, 12. So our total is 1,200. So that means that we've got 660 out of 1,200 for one of them, 450 out of 1,200 for the other one, and 90 out of 1,200 for the last one. And that's our fractions. Now we need to change them into angles. So to get your angles, you need to times by 360. So let's simplify these first though. That's 66 out of 120. That is 45 out of 120. And that is 9 out of 120. You might be wondering why out of 120 instead of just simplifying completely, because 120 goes into 360, so it's going to be easier. So for the first one, it's 66 out of 120 times 360. So that 360 divided by 120 is 3. So that is just 66 times 3. 3 times 66. 3 sixes is 18. 3 sixes is 84. That's 19. So I get 198 degrees for the first one. Similarly for this one, that's going to be 3 then times 45, which is 135 degrees. And the last one, so I've already done the work, it'll be 360 divided by 120 is 3 times 9, which is 18 degrees. So I've now got my 3 angles, so I can just shove them in the pie chart. 198 degrees, 135 degrees, 18 degrees. Right, how do we draw a pie chart? Well, we need a protractor, so I've got one prepared for us. So now we just need to draw it. So if there's anything above 180, I'll try and avoid that because my protractor only goes up to 180. So I'll start off with 135. So I get my protractor, I bring it in, and we line it up over the 0. And I'll zoom in so you can see this. So I'm going to draw the 135 now. So lining up my protractor nice and neatly. Make sure it goes through the 0. And we get our pencil and we mark on where 135 is. Now I'm on the outside scale to the right. 135 is around here. So we just mark on 135 and we get our ruler out. So I'll just get my ruler and line it up through the dot. Now my dot might disappear because of the way my iPad is, but don't worry. I'll leave the ruler where it is so that it's lined up nice through the dot, as you can see. And we just move our protractor out the way, and we draw a line from the middle to the outside of my circle nice and neatly. And we've got our first line, so we can get rid of our ruler. We no longer need it. Our next one we're going to draw is probably going to be the 18 degrees. So zooming in again, we know that's 135, so that's food and socialising. Let's just take a note of that. Food, socialising. That's 135 degrees. So our next one is 18 degrees, so we need to line that up, the line my ruler up nice and neatly. So line my ruler up nice and neatly from the middle to the outside, through that new dot, getting rid of my protractor, and just drawing a nice neat line to the outside. So now we know that that is our savings. And you can check this angle here, but if you've done everything right so far, then this other bit will be whatever's left, which is rent and bills. And that's us done there. This has been Mr. Coyle on Maths, and today we've done the SQA National 5 Apps 2021 paper 1. Stay tuned for paper 2. Take care, stay safe, and goodbye. Bye.